So, another day, another week, another video, another hat. Man, first off, I'd like to say, actually I did this after the intro. Today we're going to talk about my wife's dressed up, she put a cosmic fog sticker on it, IPV Mini, and here we go. To start, I went to one of my local vape shops. I wanted to get an opinion of the vendors who were selling them, and so I sat down with Scott Stone at Amaze Vapors, and here's how that conversation went. Be right back. So I'm here with Scott Stone over at Amaze Vapors in Tupelo, Mississippi. We're going to do things a little different this trip around, in that we're actually going to review the vendors to see what their experiences have been with the wholesalers, with the distributors, with the companies who are releasing the mods, boxes, mechanicals, kind of whatever. So today we wanted to start out with the IPV Mini. I got this here with Scott. It's an amazing place. It was the first shop in Tupelo. I was so proud to see this place open because we've been screaming for one for a long time. And I'll tell you, they've turned this into one hell of a place. So if you're anywhere in North Mississippi, good spot to be. So Scott, your dealings with the IPV on the Mini side. Now I'll come back when I get the bigger one, and just kind of your experiences on the quite a few that I know you've sold. And, customer feedback and, how you dealt with the manufacturer, if there ever was any issues to come.
I have not had any issues on the IPV Mini. Everybody's bottom has loved them. I did hear recent complaint about the memory button changing on the bottom, on the negative.
I'll get to that later in the video.
But that's, as far as that's the only complaint I've ever heard of. I actually have one myself that I use quite often. I like because it's so compact, you can throw it in your back pocket.
It feels really sturdy. I mean, some of the other ones I've played with in the, kind of in this price bracket of $50 to $80, like the iStick, the Cloud Pour. I would say this one feels the most rugged. It's the heaviest in the hand, and it really is a pleasure to use. Again, I do have some complaints about the memory function, and I'll get to that later. So, now dealing with the vendor or manufacturer, the distributors. I think you said you had one come back when you first started carrying. Was that right?
That was on the T.
That was on the
T5.
T5. Okay. Well, good deal. So, if you was to give the device a 1 out of 10 rating, what do you think you would give it?
I'd say a 9.
9. Okay. I don't disagree with that rating. I've been using it now for 6 days, and I'm going to run everything a week before I ever actually review it. And so far, it's really, really held up. Now, what are people most commonly putting on the IPV Mini?
Either the Expire sub-ohm or the Kanger sub-ohm.
Both really good pulls.
And I think that just depends on preference. I mean, I love this one when it come out, but when the Kanger come out, I like the airflow on the Kanger
I like
better.
the Kanger a little bit better. I've noticed the Kanger hits a little harder, but those are separate videos. We'll get to those down the road.
But mostly that. I mean, most of the time when somebody's getting into something like this, they're not going to be gripping. They're going to have a tank or something.
Absolutely. Now, so you're not seeing a lot of people use drippers on these. They'll go to 100 watt, 150 watt, something like that. That does seem more appropriate for a dripper. But I'll tell you, my experiences with it with the Atlanta, bouncing the forth between the sub-tank, it's been a pretty damn strong device.
Yeah, and usually I can tear them up so they can be tore up.
Absolutely, absolutely. My grandfather's a prime example. I rate a model on how quick could my grandfather break it. I bought him Ego Twists. I bought him a clone, really, really good copy, a really, really good clone of a GU. And he had it broken easily in a week. And after spending half an hour with it, he said, I really don't think I could break this one. And so, coming from my 75-year-old grandfather, that's a hell of a compliment on a device. Well, Scott, I really appreciate it. It will definitely not be the last one. Anytime we pick up and we can do around here, we'll come back. So, Scott Stone, Amaze Vapors in Tupelo, great, beautiful shop. One of y'all kind of grab the whole shop.
Well, you're always welcome.
Well, very, very cool. That's it for Scott at Amazing Vapors, and we will see you guys next time.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all. Nothing on there but a new coil, a sub-tank coil. You can see it vapes great. In here, which I will always mention the juice, especially if it's a juice that I love. I had gotten absolutely addicted to a couple of cutwood juices. One of them was something teddy bear. Had a bear in it. Sugar bear. I found that it began to get a little obnoxious after the first tank because it was really, really sweet. And so, you know, it crossed my mind, man, if there was a juice that was this flavor profile, but maybe it wasn't quite as sweet, I'd fall in love with it. And a buddy of mine out in Whitehaven, Connecticut, they started a juice line a year or two ago. And this juice is called Benny's Brew. Great juice. It's like an 80-20 mix, and it's like sugar bear without that overpowering sweetness that becomes to get obnoxious after a couple of tanks that makes me switch to something else. I do vape this all day. Great, great juice. So, other than that, now back to the IPV Mini. One, the first thing I don't like about it is my wife put this damn Cosmic Fog sticker on it. It's going to end up being her mod. Actually, no, it's not. She's confiscating my Clowper for a reason that we'll talk about in this video. We'll have another vape, and we'll keep chatting. I mentioned in the cloud pour video that I felt like after about 30% battery, hi Paisley, I felt like after about 30% battery, I felt a sag off. Do you want to say hi? Hi. Come up here. We'll continue this with Paisley. Wave. I found out with the cloud pour after about...
What monkey see?
Yeah, monkey can see too. Alright, let me talk. Let me talk. I found the cloud pour after about 30% battery would really sag. Really sag. Not really sag. I said about 5%, 10% on the high end. I notice on this IPV Mini from start to finish, I feel about that same, the equivalency to that 5% sag all the way through. My wife is confiscating the cloud pour because the cloud pour hits a little harder all the way through the vape until the end, and then she starts to feel the vape of the IPV Mini once she gets to about 30% battery. So it is it's a truer 30, and I actually did some tests and found out that that it was a little more accurate on the voltage. It was a little truer than the IPV Mini. I also, huh? Yes, let your monkey say hi. Monkey say hi. Okay, take off. Let me finish the video. Paisley.
What?
When I started doing videos, she was this tall. Now she's from the ground this tall. On the Tesla, same Addy, same 30 watts. Tesla hits harder. On the cloud pour, same Addy, same wattage. Cloud pour, cloud pour hits harder. So the IPV, I don't really know what the difference is. Now I found a lot of, I found some ways to help it, like a higher end battery, like a 45 amp high drain battery, a 35 amp high drain battery. Now if I was to put a red AWIMR in there, it performs very weak. If I've got a green Sony, I put it in there and it does not perform very well. If I take one of the, like the 40 amp high drain Imperial batteries, the blue purple ones, it performs better. If I put in one of these, the purple EFS with the 35 amp high drain, it performs better. But battery for battery, device to device, from the Cloud 4 to the Cloud 4 to the Tesla to the IPV Mini, the IPV, although a fantastic vape, and I think they come in around $79, a fantastic vape, I do feel like it's a little weaker. same addy, same battery, same every way to possibly make a fair comparison between the two. Now, the device, I like the form factor. You know, that one thing I like about it that I don't like about the Cloud4, I don't like about the Teslas, I do love the rounded back. It makes it very comfortable to hold, but it's a lot bigger, like a lot bigger. Actually, I don't have the Cloud4. My wife confiscated it and went to work. It's a good bit bigger, to where like in the Cloud4, you got the battery plus just, you know, a little bit of extra, you know, to hold the battery. So maybe the battery plus at max a 1/4 inch. On this, you've got a solid extra. You've got a solid extra inch there. I think they could have condensed it a little bit. I think it could be a little bit smaller. And then we can go talking about the electronics. Now, feel in hand is great. It is a heavy device. It feels really sturdy. You know, I would have confidence that dropping this, if I didn't have a glass tank addy, I don't feel like I would damage it. I feel like it's a well-made device. I think my complaints really more are in the chip than in the device as a whole. So, I guess we can move on to, actually, let's go to a vape and then we'll think about it. It's still a great vape. I mean, we're talking about, you know, 5%, 8% difference in actual, you know, voltage to the coil. So it is still a great vape if you have it locally and you don't see some of the other things that we talk about. So now we'll talk about my complaints on the electronics. Actually, the pros first and the cons. We'll get a little close for this so you can see it. Alright. So, we'll flip her over. You press up and you're allowed to set a few memory settings. We've got, I can't read it from here. No, I did it. I had it right the first time. Maybe this is just a mirror image is why I'm not seeing it right. So we've got memory settings. Memory 5, we've got set at 30 watts. 15 watts on memory 2. 20 watts on memory 3. 25 on 4. 30 on 5. And 30 on 10. And this kind of is where the problem runs into. I actually wanted this, memory 1, to be a 10 watt setting. And if you actually make the mistake of ever hitting the down button for any reason and then you fire it, that is now that new setting for that memory. Now it's easy to go back around and, you know, set it to what it was supposed to be. Now you fire it. And that's now reset as memory 1. So 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, back to good. I think there could have been a little better way of doing this. Like maybe a double click on the fire button or some other way, because if you ever make the mistake of hitting the down button, now you're modifying your memory settings. It's not too big of a pain in the ass once you get the hang of it, because my wife handed it to me the other day and it was at, you know, 29.4 watts or something, where she had hit the down button and I don't know, it had been jiggling around in her pocket hitting the button and she fired it and she had saved that as her memory setting. It took me a little while to figure out kind of what the optimal way of getting this device back to its memory settings. The first thing I started doing was just powering it off, powering it back on to be in the memory settings, until I realized that if you just press the up button, you're back in the memory settings. So now I can press down and then run it back up to 30 and then fire it and then it stays again. I think there could have been a more practical way to resolve, or for that to be a little more user-friendly. Again, I do enjoy the memory settings because I vape at 30 and she vapes at 50 when we're using a device like this. So again, just one way that it could potentially be a little more user-friendly. Another thing, and this is probably my biggest bitch about the entire thing, is if you can see, let me wipe it off here real quick. I've got a mirror there. Like, there's the camera, and there's the ceiling, some stuff, and floor stuff. Although that looks really nice, if you're driving down the road and at all want to take a glance at your device, what wattage you're doing or anything about it, that mirror, especially in indirect sunlight even, can become illegible. That's potentially, I don't know, that could be a safety hazard, because a guy might, look down and, try to adjust his device, and what should be, one click from 20 to 30 might end up, having to readjust and reposition and try to, I don't know, figure out how to get an angle that the sunlight's not completely obstructing the view because the mirror is reflecting the sun. I think they could have done that a little bit different, a little bit better. But I do love the memory settings, but I don't. And this goes to, is it valid to complain about something at such a low price point for something that feels 5% less in power for the whole vape, not after a quarter battery? But I will say it is because of that 5% that my wife confiscated my Cloudport Mini, and I've got this now Cosmic Fog.
Who are you talking to, Dad?
I'm talking to the same people I was talking to a minute ago. Maybe not. Maybe. I don't know. I lost my Cloudport Mini over it. So we'll have another vape and see about going a little further. Sub-tank, new coil, Benny's Brew. It's great vape. And this is also an echo of what I said earlier in the last videos, that you couldn't buy this vape for $500-600 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. So I'm glad to see regulated and atomizers get to a point that anybody could go to a local vape shop and walk out with a quality vape. So yeah, it's kind of what I got on this. It's a pretty solid vape. It's really well constructed. It's really well crafted, I think. I think the mirror was a miss. But for me, it absolutely could be an everyday vape. It's got the extra port down on the bottom for, I'm assuming, updates and charging. Not something I would practically use, but hey, there may be a pinch that might come in handy. That's pretty well, I would say the best I could do on that. It's got a bottom button here that unscrews to pop a battery in. That's really the only user maintenance. I will say one thing I do like is it's a nice touch I'm noticing on things is I know we screamed forever about adjustable pins, and right there, the wrong way. Right there, you've got just a standard flathead screw to kick it out there. That's come in like super handy here lately because I've been using the I've been using the sub-tank. My wife's been using an Atlantis, and the Atlantis is shallower than a sub-tank, so anytime we swap devices, I've got to bust a screwdriver out and adjust the two of them accordingly in order to make it work. So I'm glad they did that. Standard 5-click on, 5-click off stuff, and yeah, that's, again, it's really sturdy, pretty stout, sturdy device. So, that's what I got. I vape, I vote. See you again next time.